I've been married to the Ice Queen CEO for 3 years, so when she called me in the middle of the night, I figured this was it. The divorce talk. I was all set to put on the performance of a lifetime, a total emotional meltdown designed to squeeze a few more zeros out of the settlement check. But the voice on the other end of the line wasn't cold and distant. It was trembling, choked with tears, begging me not to go. I froze. Wait a second. This wasn't in the script. Bring 11 p.m. The shrill ring of my phone sliced through the silence of my studio apartment. I shot upright in bed, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird when I saw the name flashing on the screen. Sophia Blackwood. It's time. It's finally time. 3 years I've been stuck in this world, in this book. 3 years I've been waiting for this exact day. It feels like a lifetime ago, I was just another corporate drone, grinding through the daily subway commute. Hello, Sophia. Ethan. Sophia's voice came through the speaker. But it was wrong. This wasn't right at all. There was none of the icy indifference I'd expected. Instead, her voice was trembling, fragile. It was a tone I'd never heard from her before. I could even hear the faint, suppressed catch of a sob. I was stunned. The lines I'd so carefully memorized were stuck in my throat. This wasn't how the scene was supposed to go. Ethan, where are you? Sophia's voice was as soft as a feather, brushing against my ear. I'm at the apartment I'm renting, I answered honestly. Ever since the day after our wedding, she had kicked me out of our marital home, citing a need for personal space. In 3 years, I could count the number of times we'd seen each other on 2 hands. Is it cold out there? She asked again. The question made no sense. It's fine. The heat's on. I was getting more confused by the second. What was this? A pre-divorce wellness check? Soften the blow before you drop the axe? The line went silent for a moment. Then I heard it, a quiet, choked sob. Was Sophia crying? The woman who could make or break companies with a single word, who wouldn't flinch while negotiating a $10 billion deal, was crying on the phone with me? I had to be dreaming. Ethan, she said again, her voice thick with tears. Don't leave. Please. I'm begging you. Don't leave me. Don't divorce me. Boom. My brain blue-screened. That line just fried my CPU. Divorce? She was the one divorcing me. I had my pants down. Wait, no. I had my tears locked and loaded, and she hits me with this? Sophia, have you been drinking? It was the only explanation I could come up with. No, she denied it instantly. I'm sober, Ethan. I've never been more sober in my life. Listen to me. It was all my fault before. I was a monster. I was blind. Just give me one more chance, please. We can make this work. I'll never make you leave again. You can move back in, okay? Her voice was thick and nasal, her words tumbling out in a frantic, incoherent rush. She sounded terrified, like a drowning person clinging to the last piece of driftwood. I held the phone, completely dumbfounded. What the hell was going on? Was she a regressor? Or had her body been taken over by someone else, like mine? But the book never mentioned anything like this. Was it me? Did my arrival cause some kind of butterfly effect? No, impossible. For the last 3 years, I've been the poster child for laying low. A king among slackers. There's no way I could have influenced the high and mighty CEO. Sophia, just calm down, I said, trying to get a handle on the situation. Did something happen? Nothing happened to me. I just need you to be okay. Her voice was laced with a chilling, residual fear. Ethan, promise me you won't go anywhere. Just stay home, please. No, home isn't safe either. Come to my office. No, I'll come to you. I'm on my way right now. Click. She hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, my world thrown into chaos by the cold night air. She said she was coming here. Right now. I looked down at my 300 square foot apartment, a minefield of takeout containers and empty beer cans. Then I thought about Sophia's 10,000 square foot mansion, the one with 8 maids where you had to change your shoes 3 times just to get to the living room. The thought of those 2 worlds colliding was just surreal. Half an hour later, a frantic knocking echoed through my door. I peered through the peephole, and my heart skipped another beat. It was really her, Sophia. She was wearing a designer Chanel suit, but a trench coat was thrown haphazardly over it. Her flawless makeup was smudged by tears, and her usually perfect hair was a mess. Her face was a canvas of anxiety and fear. She looked nothing like the proud, cold, impeccably polished queen I remembered. She looked like a completely different person. I took a deep breath and opened the door. The second it opened, Sophia launched herself at me like a startled rabbit, wrapping her arms around my waist and holding on for dear life. Her soft body, carrying a cool, floral scent, slammed into me, knocking me back a step. I went completely rigid. 3 years of marriage, and we hadn't just not hugged. We'd never even held hands. The most intimate we'd ever gotten was at the wedding when the officiant forced her to touch my fingertip with hers. I could still remember the icy chill of that brief contact. But now, she was clinging to me like an octopus, squeezing so tight I could barely breathe. Her body was trembling. She buried her face in my chest, taking greedy breaths as her muffled, tear-choked voice vibrated against my ribs. Thank God, you're still here. You're really still here. I could feel my shirt growing damp with her tears. I was completely lost. What was wrong with the world? I stood there stiffly in the doorway, letting Sophia hold me, my mind a swirling vortex of confusion. This woman's behavior was so far beyond my comprehension. Wasn't she supposed to find the very air I breathed repulsive? So what was with this? I found my long-lost treasure routine. Ms. Blackwood, I managed to say, trying to remind her that we weren't exactly on hugging terms. I think you might have the wrong person. The body in my arms went still. She pulled her head back abruptly. Those beautiful, almond-shaped eyes, usually filled with ice, were now rabbit red and swimming with tears as she stared up at me. Ethan, do you have to call me that? Her voice was laced with hurt and disbelief. Have you hated me this much for 3 years? What? Lady, who hated who here? Did you give me a single pleasant look in 3 years? I distinctly remember you saying, just looking at you makes me sick. And now you're flipping the script on me? Are you serious? I don't. I mumbled. You do. She cut me off, fresh tears welling up. You call me Ms. Blackwood. You live in a place like this. You'd rather eat takeout than spend a single dollar of my money. Ethan, you're punishing me, aren't you? I opened my mouth, but found I was speechless. I don't live in a mansion because you kicked me out. I don't spend your money because you canceled all my cards. And the takeout, that's just because I'm lazy. But somehow, in her twisted logic, all of this fit together perfectly, becoming proof of my silent suffering and protest through distance. With an imagination like that, she should be writing novels. You should come inside. It's cold out, I sighed, stepping aside to let her in. Sophia sniffled, cautiously letting go of me and following me into the room like a child who'd been scolded. When she saw the state of my apartment, she froze solid. The cramped space, the cluttered mess, the strange, stale air that smelled like a mix of instant ramen and cheap beer. Her eyes scanned the mountain of empty noodle cups in the corner, then landed on the pilled sweater I'd been wearing for 3 years. The guilt and pity in her eyes were practically overflowing. Ethan, her voice trembled. This is how you've been living for 3 years. How have I been living? I've been living like a king. No boss breathing down my neck, no sales quotas to meet. I sleep in every day, play video games, read novels. My only worry is whether to have the spicy beef ramen or the chicken flavor for dinner. If you hadn't shown up and had a meltdown, I'd be collecting my settlement check tonight and flying to Hawaii tomorrow. My mind was screaming, but I kept my face a perfect blank. I just silently pushed a pile of clothes off the sofa to clear a small space. Have a seat. Sorry about the mess. Sophia didn't sit. She just stood there, staring at me, her eyes a tangled mess of emotions. Regret, pity, fear, and a profound, desperate relief that I couldn't quite decipher. I'm sorry, she said suddenly, bowing deeply. Ethan, I'm so sorry. I jumped back, startled. What are you doing? I've owed you this apology my entire life. She looked up, tears streaming down her face. In my last life, I was blind. I was a fool for pushing you away. I destroyed you. I destroyed the Blackwood family. She choked up, unable to continue. But I caught the keyword. Last life. Holy crap. My eyes went wide. This woman, she was a regressor. She'd been reborn. No wonder her attitude did a complete 180. Of course, it all made sense. In the original novel, after Sophia divorced me, the hero of the book appeared out of nowhere and systematically destroyed her family's business empire. The Blackwoods went bankrupt, and Sophia ended up abandoned by everyone, dying alone on the street. It seems she came back with memories of her past life, reborn on the very day the story was supposed to begin. She thinks the tragedy of her last life happened because she divorced me, losing the protection of the hidden powerhouse she married. So now, her only mission is to cling to me, her golden ticket, at all costs. Once I figured it out, I almost burst out laughing. This was a colossal misunderstanding. Lady, you got the wrong guy. I'm not some hidden powerhouse. I'm just a bum waiting for a payout, so I can disappear. The reason you failed in the book wasn't because I was gone. It was because you were the villainess destined to be crushed by the hero. It was the author's will. It was plot, but maybe I could use this misunderstanding. An idea sparked in my mind. If she sees me as her savior, couldn't I raise my price? I was only hoping for one extra zero. Now, it looked like 2 extra zeros wasn't out of question. My heart pounded with excitement. On the outside, though, I was a picture of calm. I channeled the vibe of some all-knowing, mystical master, adopting a serene expression that said, I have seen through the veil of reality. What's past is past, I said slowly. Let it be. 8 simple words, dripping with class. It worked. Sophia was completely floored. She stared at me, her eyes filling with a new level of awe and reverence. You knew. I maintained my enlightened persona. I didn't nod, didn't shake my head. I just picked up a cup of cold tea from the table and took a small sip. Let silence be my answer. That air of mystery, that sense of you can talk, but I already understand everything, was devastatingly effective. Sophia was clearly taken in by my stoic act. The panic in her eyes slowly faded, replaced by the calm of someone who has finally found their anchor. Ethan, thank you, she said sincerely. Thank you for still being willing to give me a chance. I was celebrating internally, but my face remained as still as a pond. Sit, I said, gesturing to the sofa. This time, Sophia obediently sat down, but she only perched on the very edge, her back ramrod straight, her hands placed neatly on her knees like a schoolgirl waiting to be lectured by the principal. Ich glänzte her, secretly loved. To think, she used to not even bother looking at me. Now, she was hanging on my every move. This was the intoxicating power of having information she didn't. Sophia began, seeming to want to say something but not knowing where to start. I watched her, relaxed, waiting for her next move. After a long, internal struggle, she finally gathered her courage, looked up, and fixed me with a pleading gaze. Ethan, can you move back home? Move back home, I laughed inwardly. Dream on. I finally get to enjoy 3 years of freedom, and now you want me to move back in, stare at your icy face all day, and pretend to be a loving husband? What's in it for me? Is the food at your place that good? Well, actually, the food at her place was pretty amazing, but freedom is priceless. I was about to make up an excuse to refuse when I caught a glimpse of her fingers, clenched so tightly they were white, and a fragile hope in her eyes that looked like it could shatter at any moment. A brilliant idea popped into my head. I couldn't refuse her directly. A flat-out no would make her think I was still holding a grudge, still punishing her. I had to make her think I wanted to come back, but there were complications. I had to put the ball back in her court and let her solve the problem. That's how a true hidden master forced into hiding would play it. So, I let out a long, theatrical sigh, gazed wistfully out the window, and filled my voice with the melancholy of a poet staring at the sky. Go back. Can we ever really go back? One sentence. It was enough to make Sophia's face turn another shade paler. Why can't we? She asked desperately. That's your home. I turned to her, my eyes screaming. You still don't get it, do you? Ms. Blackwood, 3 years ago, who was it that announced in front of the entire household staff that my very presence was polluting the air in that house? Sophia's body jerked as if struck, and the color drained from her lips. And who was it that told me, as I was packing my bags, that the Blackwood family doesn't support freeloaders? Sophia's face was now as white as a sheet of paper. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Tears, like broken pearls, rolled down her cheeks. These were all lines she'd said to my character in the book. I hadn't experienced them personally, but they were brutally effective at twisting a knife. Seeing her break down was incredibly satisfying, but I couldn't smile. I was the devoted and long-suffering hero. I slowly stood up, walked to the window, and turned my back to her, presenting a lonely, desolate silhouette. Ms. Blackwood, some words, once spoken, can never be taken back. Some wounds, once inflicted, are there forever. My voice was deep and magnetic, laced with just the right amount of sorrow. Perfect. I was almost moved by my own performance. Behind me, I heard Sophia's suppressed, desperate sobs. Cry. Go ahead and cry. The louder you cry, the better I feel. The more you regret, the more valuable I become. Once I've thoroughly manipulated you, we can talk about the divorce settlement. I'll be able to name my price. Then I'll walk away with more money than I can spend, a legend in my own mind. And you can live with the regret of your past life. Thinking about it, I could barely keep the smile off my face. That's not it, Sophia sobbed, getting up from the sofa and walking towards me. Ethan, it's not like that. I was possessed back then. She reached me, seeming to want to hug me, but not daring to. Her outstretched hand trembled in midair. Hit me, yell at me, do whatever you want. Just don't throw me away. Her voice was so small, so humbled. I was ecstatic, but I maintained my cold, aloof facade. I didn't turn around, afraid she would see the grin I was fighting to hide. It's late. You should go home, I said, dismissing her. I'm not leaving, Sophia said stubbornly. Not unless you come with me. I told you. I can't go back. Why? There is no why. We were a standoff. Sophia stood behind me, refusing to budge. I could feel her intense gaze burning into my back. Just as I was thinking about adding more fuel to the fire, my stomach, with impeccable timing, let out a loud grumble. It wasn't deafening, but in the dead silent room, it was crystal clear. Me. Sophia. The atmosphere instantly shifted from tragic romance to awkward comedy. I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. My grand performance, ruined by hunger. What kind of pathetic master was I? Sophia was taken aback for a second. Then, as if realizing something, she asked tentatively, You haven't had dinner. What could I say? I remained silent. Silence was my only friend. Silence was my last shred of dignity. Sophia looked at my rigid back, then at the half-eaten cup of instant noodles on the table I hadn't thrown out. The pity and self-blame in her eyes nearly drowned her. It's all my fault, she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. How could I let you live like this? She sniffled, then seemed to make a decision. Wait here. She turned and rushed out of my apartment. I stared after her, completely bewildered. What now? Did the squalor finally get to her? Was she running for the hills? Good riddance. Now I can finish my noodles. But 20 minutes later, Sophia returned. She was carrying several large bags bearing the logo of Crestview's most exclusive private kitchen, the hearth. An intoxicating aroma instantly filled the room. My stomach growled even louder. I didn't know what you liked, so I just got a little of everything. Sophia started unpacking the containers on my tiny coffee table. Wagyu steak, lobster thermidor, seared scallops, truffle risotto. A parade of dishes I had only ever seen on TV. I swallowed hard, my eyes wide. This single meal probably cost more than my monthly rent. Go on, eat. It's still warm. Sophia handed me a pair of chopsticks, her eyes full of anticipation, like a puppy waiting for praise from its owner. I looked at her, then at the feast on the table, feeling a strange mix of emotions. On one hand, this was all ridiculous. She had no idea the person she was desperately trying to please was just a slacker planning to take her money and run. She had no idea the real threat was the book's hero, who was about to make his grand entrance. But on the other hand, this food smelled incredible. Fine. For the lobster, I'll let it slide for today. You eat too, I said, picking up my fork. Then, on a strange impulse, I cut off a piece of steak and placed it on her plate. Sophia's body went rigid. She looked at the steak on her plate in disbelief, then back at me. Her beautiful eyes instantly welled up with tears. Ethan, are you going to let your food get cold? I cut her off gruffly, popping a piece of risotto into my mouth. Perfectly creamy, worth every penny she spent. Sophia, however, acted as if she had been granted a divine favor. She carefully picked up the piece of steak, put it in her mouth, and chewed slowly, savoring it like it was the most exquisite delicacy in the world. When she finished, she looked up, her eyes crinkling with a contented smile. It's delicious. That smile was like a ray of sunshine on a winter's day, instantly brightening the dim little apartment. I have to admit, for a split second, my heart skipped a beat. The rest of the meal passed in a strange but harmonious atmosphere. Sophia insisted on cleaning up, even bagging all the trash to take with her. She even tried to mop my floor. I couldn't stand the surreal sight of a billionaire CEO cleaning my dump, so I practically pushed her out the door. Go home. I'll think about moving back tomorrow. I finally caved, if for no other reason than the Wagyu steak. Having a personal, mobile Michelin star restaurant catering to my every whim. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Really, Sophia's eyes lit up, shining brighter than any star in the night sky. Yeah, I mumbled. I'll come pick you up tomorrow, she said, locking it in before I could change my mind. 8 a.m. No, 7. I'll be here at 7. With that, she left, looking back every few steps. Watching her disappear down the hallway, I stroked my chin, deep in thought. This was not going according to plan. This reborn Sophia was a wild card, throwing my simple coast and collect strategy into total chaos. But for now, the situation seemed pretty good. At least I'd gone from being a disposable loser about to be kicked out to a hidden powerhouse being coddled by CEO. The change in status was exhilarating. The next morning, before 7, my door was ringing. I opened it to find Sophia standing there, looking fresh and poised. She'd changed into a sharp white pantsuit, her hair pulled back, with light, tasteful makeup. She had some of her business queen aura back, but the way she looked at me was still cautious, almost timid. She was holding a thermos. I made you breakfast, she said, a little embarrassed, handing it to me. I'm not a very good cook, so please don't be mad. I opened the thermos. A strong, burnt smell hit me. Inside were 2 blackened lumps of something next to 2 fried eggs that had burst, their yolks oozing everywhere. Me. It looked like a biohazard. I looked up at Sophia. She was nervously wringing her hands, avoiding my gaze. I noticed several fresh red marks on her delicate fingers, like she'd been burned by hot oil. Something in my chest softened. It's great, I said, my face a perfect mask of sincerity. I picked up a fork, speared one of the charcoal briquettes, and took a bite. It was dry, hard, and bitter. Cough, cough. I nearly choked. Don't eat it if it's bad. Sophia rushed forward to grab the fork, her eyes turning red. It's my fault I'm so stupid. No, it's good, I said, taking the fork back. I took a big gulp of the milk she'd also brought to wash it down, then stoically finished the rest of the briquette. Don't do this again, I told her, looking her straight in the eye. Sophia's expression immediately fell. I can learn. I'll get better. What I mean is, I paused, meeting her gaze, and said slowly, I don't want you to get hurt again. Sophia froze. She stared at me, then down at the burns on her fingers. Her lips trembled, and without warning, tears started to fall. But this time, they weren't tears of sadness or despair. They were tears of joy, of being deeply moved. Ethan, she choked out, throwing her arms around me. I sighed, a little exasperated, but I didn't push her away. Fine. Consider it a thank you for the steak and lobster. After that heartfelt breakfast, Sophia all but dragged me into her Bentley. Our destination, of course, was the marital home I had only set foot in once on our wedding day. It was a sprawling villa in Crestviews most exclusive gated community, complete with a pool and massive gardens, obnoxiously luxurious. When the car pulled up, the butler and the maids were already lined up waiting. When they saw me get out of Sophia's car, with her clinging affectionately to my arm, every single jaw hit the floor. The expressions were priceless, especially the head butler, Peterson, who had always looked down on me. His eyes were about to pop out of his head, his mouth agape. Sir, you're back, Peterson stammered, looking like he'd seen a ghost. I am, I replied coolly, savoring his shock. God, this felt good. Effortless flexing. It was amazing. Quickly, get the master suite ready for him. Sophia immediately commanded. And move all of my things to the guest room. The master bedroom is for Ethan now. What? Not just Peterson, but I was stunned too. Me and a master, her in a guest room? What kind of move was that? No, I said immediately. Sophia's face paled, thinking I was still angry. Ethan, what I mean is, I looked at her, a sly smile playing on my lips. We're married. Sleeping in separate rooms doesn't seem right, does it? If we were going to put on a show, we might as well go all the way. If I was going to play this game, I had to be thorough. I needed her to believe I'd forgiven her and was willing to be a real husband. That would make her even more devoted. Sophia was completely floored by my words. She stared at me, a deep blush rapidly spreading across her cheeks, from her ears all the way down her neck. That look of shock, joy, and shyness. There was no trace of the Ice Queen left. She looked like a teenager with her first crush. You mean? She stammered, not daring to believe it. I leaned in close, whispering so only she could hear, "Tonight, we sleep together?" Boom! Sophia's face was so red it looked like it might actually catch fire. She stood frozen, a wooden statue that had forgotten how to breathe. The surrounding staff couldn't hear what I'd said, but seeing us so close, they all started smiling knowingly. Only Peterson looked like he'd just swallowed a fly, his face a sickly green. I was in fantastic mood. With my arm around the still petrified Sophia, I strode into the villa like I owned the place. From now on, I was in charge here. My first day back at the mansion was everything I'd ever dreamed of. Sophia went to the office, but not before giving me 1,000 instructions to stay home and relax. She unblocked all my credit cards and gave me a new, unlimited black card, terrified I might suffer in any way. I lay on the $1 million mattress, scrolling through my phone and staring at the long string of zeros in my bank account, grinning like an idiot. So this is what it feels like to be a kept man. I could get used to this. At noon, the head chef from the Hearth personally came to the house to prepare a 12-course lunch just for me. I dined on Australian lobster while sipping an 82 Lafite. Wait, no, I don't like wine. I had him give me a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle. Life should be this simple. In the afternoon, I lounged by the pool while one made peel grapes for me and another fanned me. I closed my eyes, feeling like an ancient emperor. This decadent lifestyle was sinfully sweet. The only fly in the ointment was that butler, Peterson. He was always lurking nearby, shooting me strange looks, as if I were a flavor-of-the-month boy toy about to be discarded. I couldn't be bothered with him. A mere butler. Once I had Sophia completely wrapped around my finger, he'd be the first to go. Just as I was about to doze off, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered it casually. Hello. Hello, is this Mr. Ethan Vance? A clear, pleasant female voice asked. Speaking. Who is this? Hi. This is Chloe Summers, the owner of the Hearth. I was just calling to see if the meals we prepared for you yesterday and today were to your liking. The Hearth? My mind immediately flashed to the novel's plot. Chloe Summers. She wasn't just a chef. She was one of the original heroines of the book. A culinary goddess with a mysterious background and a kind, gentle personality. In the book, she and the hero had a classic enemies-to-lovers arc, and she ended up being his favorite. Her restaurant, The Hearth, was a front for an exclusive club where Crestview's elite gathered to exchange information and network. The fact that Sophia could even get a reservation there showed how serious she was. But why was she calling me personally? It was great, thank you. I replied politely. I'm so glad, Chloe said warmly. Mr. Vance, Ms. Blackwood has booked our services for you for the entire year, and she had a special request. What request? She'd like us to create a personalized wellness menu based on your specific health needs. I was hoping you might have time to stop by the restaurant tomorrow, so our team of nutritionists can do a full consultation. Would that be convenient? I was taken aback. Sophia was really going all out. An annual membership at the Hearth was rumored to be in the millions. Not only did she book me for a year, but she wanted to get me a personal team of nutritionists. Was she that scared I'd run away? Still, meeting the original heroine of the book did sound interesting. In the novel, Chloe was described as an ethereal beauty. I was curious. Sure. What time tomorrow? Would 10 a.m. work? I could send a car for you. No need. I'll get there myself, I said. Please. I had a Bentley at my disposal now, even if it was Sophia's. After hanging up, I felt a strange sense of anticipation. On one side, a reborn villainess desperately clinging to me. On the other, the perfect, gentle heroine about to make her appearance. How did I, a guy who just wanted to be a slacker, suddenly get the leading man treatment? I had to admit, it wasn't so bad. That evening, Sophia came home from work. The moment she walked in, she kicked off her heels, slipped on her slippers, and came right over to me, wrapping her arms around my neck from behind and resting her cheek on my back. I'm home, she said, her voice tired but full of contentment. The maid who was giving me a leg massage jumped, nearly falling to her knees in shock. I waved her away. Busy day at the office? I could smell the faint scent of her perfume mixed with paper and coffee. A few projects ran into some trouble, she mumbled. But I handled it. I knew what she was talking about. According to the original plot, this was when the hero, Rex Sterling, would start making his moves against the Blackwood family's businesses. The trouble she was dealing with was almost certainly his doing. But in this life, with her foreknowledge, she was able to fend him off. In her mind, though, she probably thought it was all because of me, her good luck charm. Good, I said, patting her hand reassuringly. Ethan, she nuzzled my back like a cat. I heard people at the office talking badly about you again today. Oh, what did they say? I was intrigued. They said you were a good-for-nothing freeloader, and that I'd divorce you sooner or later. Sophia's voice grew quiet, filled with a mix of anger and hurt. And what did you do? I fired them all. Her tone turned sharp as steel. Anyone who dares to say a single bad word about my husband gets thrown out on the street. Me? Damn, that's pretty badass. I like it. Ethan, you're not mad at me, are you? She asked, reverting to her cautious demeanor. Was that too impulsive? Not at all. I turned around and pinched her cheek. You did the right thing. My husband. I had to admit, I liked the sound of that. My approval made Sophia beam, her queenly aura vanishing in an instant. Oh, I made an appointment for you with a nutritionist at the Hearth. 10 a.m. tomorrow. I'll go with you. You don't have to. I can go by myself. You're busy at work. No, she said, her tone firm and absolute. Your business is 1,000,000 times more important than the company's. I have to go with you. Seeing her resolute expression, I had no choice but to agree. Fine by me. It would be a perfect opportunity for her to meet the original heroine. Two women, both convinced they were the one, in the same room. The drama would be delicious. I was actually looking forward to tomorrow. After dinner, I went up to the master bedroom. After a shower, I lay in bed in my bathrobe, scrolling on my phone while I waited for Sophia. To be honest, I was a little nervous. This was, in 2 lifetimes, my first time sharing a bed with such a stunning, wealthy woman. I knew, with her current mix of fear and reverence for me, nothing physical was likely to happen. But the thought alone was still a little thrilling. About half an hour later, the bedroom door creaked open. Sophia slipped in, wearing a pink silk nightgown. It was thin, clinging to her body and outlining her incredible curves. Under the soft light, her skin seemed to glow. Her long, slender legs looked like they went on for miles. I felt my mouth go dry. I had to admit, I was shamelessly turned on. This woman was a siren. Sophia clearly noticed my heated gaze, and her cheeks flushed as she nervously tugged at the hem of her nightgown. She walked over to the bed, but instead of getting in, she started laying out a blanket on the floor about 6 feet away. I stared at her. What are you doing? I'll just sleep on the floor, she said, her head bowed, her voice barely a whisper. I don't want to disturb you. I almost laughed out loud. So this was her idea of sleeping together? Her on the floor? Then what was the point of my power play this afternoon? Saying we're married? What about my pride? Get up here, I said, patting the empty space beside me. My tone was calm, but left no room for argument. Sophia's body stiffened. She looked up, her eyes wide with disbelief. But, no buts. I lifted the corner of the duvet. Get in. My voice was quiet, but it held an undeniable authority I'd picked up from reading all those novels. As expected, Sophia didn't dare to argue. Biting her lip, she awkwardly shuffled over to the bed and laid down as stiff as a board. She was on the absolute edge of the mattress, leaving a good 3 feet of space between us. You could have fit another person in the gap. Her body was wound as tight as a spring. I looked at her, both amused and annoyed. Are you afraid I'm going to eat you? And no, she denied it. But her body scooted another inch towards the edge. I sighed. It seemed my character's actions in her past life had left some serious psychological scars. Fine. I wouldn't tease her anymore. Good night. I turned off the light and rolled over, facing away from her. In the darkness, I could hear her short, nervous breaths. A long time passed. Just as I was about to fall asleep, I felt a soft, cool body gently press against my back. Then, a pair of trembling hands slowly wrapped around my waist. Her movements were light, tentative, full of hesitation. I didn't move, pretending to be asleep. The arms around my waist slowly tightened, sensing no resistance. Her cheek gently rested against my back. "Ethan, this time, I'm never letting you go." The next morning, I woke up to an enticing aroma. I opened my eyes. Sophia was no longer in bed. I sat up and realized that the woman who'd been as stiff as a board last night had, at some point, rolled over and ended up practically draped on top of me, one leg thrown over my waist. No wonder I dreamt I was being attacked by an octopus. I gently moved her leg and slipped out of bed. The delicious smell was coming from the kitchen downstairs. I walked down to find Sophia, wearing an apron, bustling around the kitchen. 2 other men were with her. One was the head chef on the hearth. The other I didn't recognize, but from his uniform, he was clearly another top-tier chef. The 2 professionals were giving verbal instructions, while Sophia fumbled through the practical application. "Ma'am, lower the heat." "Yes, a low flame." "Ma'am, flip it now. Careful of the splashing oil." "Oh dear, ma'am, it's burning, it's burning." The kitchen was in a state of controlled chaos. I leaned against the doorframe, watching the woman who commanded boardrooms with an iron fist, now struggling with a single fried egg. A smile crept onto my face. The contrast was actually kind of cute. "You're awake." Sophia turned, and her face broke into a huge grin when she saw me. "Yeah." I nodded, walking over. "What are you making?" "Breakfast for you." She proudly presented the 1 egg in the pan that wasn't burnt and was still mostly circular. "See? I did it today." She was as proud as if she'd just closed a billion-dollar deal, not just cooked an egg. "Impressive," I said with genuine admiration. Anyone who could reduce 2 master chefs to this state of panic was definitely impressive. "Go get washed up. It'll be ready in a minute," Sophia said, pushing me out of the kitchen. When I came back down, the table was laden with a magnificent breakfast spread. Both American and continental style, a dazzling array. And right in the center, on its own special plate, was the fried egg, Sophia's masterpiece. I sat down, and under Sophia's expectant gaze, I took a bite of her egg first. The taste, well, it was marginally better than yesterday's charcoal briquette. But looking at Sophia's sparkling eyes, I ate the whole thing without changing my expression. Delicious. Really? Yeah, better than anything from the hearth. I swear, out of the corner of my eye, I saw the head chef flinch. But Sophia believed me. She was as happy as a child. Throughout the meal, she kept putting food on my plate, fussing over me more than any of the maids. After breakfast, we set off for the hearth. The restaurant was located on the shore of Crestview's beautiful Moon Lake, a serene, traditional courtyard-style building. The place screamed exclusivity. As soon as we got out of the car, a woman in a simple but elegant white dress came to greet us. She had a gentle, calming presence like a cool breeze. She looked to be in her mid-20s, with delicate features, flawless skin, and a perfect, welcoming smile. Her eyes were especially captivating, as clear as a spring, as if they could see right into your soul. Without a doubt, this was Chloe Summers, a true goddess. "Ms. Blackwood, Mr. Vance, welcome." Chloe gave a slight bow, every movement filled with a classic grace. "Chloe, thank you for fitting us in," Sophia said politely, but the hand on my arm instinctively tightened. A woman's intuition is a powerful thing. Even though Chloe had done nothing, Sophia already sensed a threat. I hid a smile and gave Chloe a polite nod. "Nice to meet you." Chloe's eyes rested on me for a moment, a flicker of surprise in their depths. But she hid it quickly, her smile never wavering. "The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Vance. Please call me Chloe. This way, the nutrition team is ready for you." We followed Chloe through a long, winding corridor to an elegant tea room. The consultation was simple enough. They asked about my eating habits and sleep schedule and used some high-tech equipment to check my vitals. The entire time, Sophia was glued to my side, as nervous as a parent whose kid is taking the SATs. She jumped in to answer every question, painting me as a paragon of health and virtue. My Ethan never smokes, never drinks, never stays up late. He works out every day, eats a clean diet, has a perfectly regular schedule. Listening to her spin this ridiculous tale, I almost choked on my tea. "Lady, are we talking about the same person?" Who is that guy living on takeout and beer, playing video games until 3 in the morning? The nutritionists were clearly confused by the massive discrepancy between Sophia's description and my actual test results. But they were professionals. In front of a major client like Sophia, they had to keep smiling no matter how many questions they had. Mr. Vance has a very strong constitution. He just, needs to slightly adjust his dietary structure to include more fiber and vitamins. The lead nutritionist concluded diplomatically. Did you hear that? Sophia immediately turned to me, deadly serious. No more junk food. From now on, I'm supervising all 3 of your meals. Me? Is this the end of my happiness? After the consultation, Chloe personally brewed us a pot of tea. Mr. Vance, I have a good idea of your preferences now. Starting tomorrow, we will prepare 3 customized meals for you every day, ensuring they're both nutritious and delicious. Thank you for your trouble, I said. Not at all, Chloe smiled, her gaze shifting to Sophia. Anyone Ms. Blackwood cares about this much must be very special. Sophia's eyes instantly sharpened. She tightened her grip on my arm, as if declaring ownership. He's my husband. It's my duty to take care of him. I can see you two are very much in love. Chloe's smile remained flawless, giving nothing away. But as someone who'd read the book, I could see the curiosity and intrigue in her eyes. I knew she was interested in me. It made sense. In the book, Chloe was always drawn to interesting people and situations. And a useless kept husband so cherished by Crestviews' top CEO was definitely interesting. A silent battle was about to begin, and I, the supposed prize, just wanted to yawn. This was so boring. I wanted to go home and play video games. On the way back from the hearth, Sophia was quiet and moody. She drove in silence, her brow furrowed in thought. What's wrong? I asked, playing dumb. That Chloe. Sophia hesitated. What do you think of her? Here it comes. The trick question. I looked straight ahead, my face a mask of sincerity. I didn't think anything of her. She's just a business owner. Really? Sophia was skeptical. Really, I said, my tone firm. As far as I'm concerned, every woman who isn't you looks the same to me. I swear, I've never said anything so cheesy in my life. But it worked like a charm. Sophia's frown instantly vanished. She stuck a glance at me, a smile playing on her lips, and even the car seemed to drive a little lighter. See, women are so easy to please. When we got back to the mansion, I was about to retreat to my room when Sophia stopped me. Ethan, come with me. Where? To the office. Her eyes suddenly became sharp. It's time to remind a few people who's in charge. I understood immediately. She was taking me to the office to declare her loyalty and establish my authority. A classic show of power. I loved it. All right, let's go. I agreed readily. Half an hour later, we were on the top floor of the Blackwood Corporation headquarters in the CEO's office. Sophia's executive assistant, a capable woman named Jessica, nearly dropped her stack of files when she saw us walk in hand. Ms. Blackwood, Mr. Vance. Jessica, inform all department heads and above that there will be a meeting in the main conference room in 10 minutes, Sophia commanded, ignoring her assistant's shock. Yes, ma'am. Jessica scurried off to do her bidding. I casually strolled around the office. It was decorated in cold shades of black, white, and gray, just like Sophia's personality. But on her desk, there was a new addition, a pink picture frame. Inside was our wedding photo. In it, I had a plastered-on, fake smile while Sophia looked like I owed her $1 million. Looking at it now, the irony was thick. Don't look at that, Sophia said, coming over and trying to hide the frame in embarrassment. Why not? It's nice, I said, stopping her hand. A handsome couple, a match made in heaven. Sophia blushed again. 10 minutes later, in the main conference room, all of Blackwood Corp's top executives were seated, a tense silence hanging in the air. They all knew this was an emergency meeting, but no one knew what their iron-fisted CEO had planned. When Sophia walked in with her arm linked through mine, the room went dead silent. Every eye was on me. I could feel their surprise, contempt, curiosity, and disdain. I could practically hear their thoughts. What's that loser doing here? Why would she bring him to the office? And holding his hand? Has she lost her mind? Maybe she's finally announcing the divorce. What a strange way to do it. I sneered internally, but kept a pleasant smile on my face, calmly accepting their scrutiny. Sophia led me to the head of the table. She didn't sit down herself. Instead, she pulled out the main chair, the seat of ultimate power, and had me sit down first. Only then did she take the seat beside me. That single action was like a bomb dropped in the silent room. The executives erupted. "Sophia, what is the meaning of this?" a balding middle-aged man demanded, standing up. He was a company VP and Sophia's uncle, Robert Blackwood. He'd always used his seniority to undermine her. In the book, he was the first to betray the family and side with the hero. The meaning? "Uncle, are you having trouble understanding?" Sophia's gaze turned cold. "Ethan is my husband, the rightful son-in-law of the Blackwood family. Is there a problem with him sitting here? A good-for-nothing freeloader like him has no right to sit there." Robert sputtered, his face red with anger. "Sophia, stop this nonsense. This is a company, not your home." "Today, I'm making an announcement to everyone," Sophia said, ignoring his outburst and scanning the room. Her voice was clear and firm. "From this day forward, Ethan is not only my husband, but he's also the chief executive advisor of the Blackwood Corporation. His Wort is my Wort. His decisions are my decisions. When you see him, you see me. Anyone who disrespects him is disrespecting me. And you can all figure out the consequences of that for yourselves." The room was utterly silent. Everyone was stunned. Chief executive advisor. Was this some kind of joke? Making a man who'd been a freeloader for 3 years the company's top advisor? Had Ms. Blackwood lost her mind? Had this pretty boy put some kind of spell on her? "I object." Robert was trembling with rage. "I will never agree to such a ridiculous decision." "Your objection is overruled," Sophia said coldly. "I am in charge of the Blackwood Corporation now. If you're not satisfied with that, Uncle, you are free to submit your resignation immediately." Robert looked like he was about to have a heart attack. "Does anyone else have an objection?" Sophia's gaze swept across the room like a sword. You could have heard a pin drop. No one else dared to speak. They all understood. Today, Sophia was going to back her useless husband no matter what. Anyone who challenged her now would be a fool. I sat at the head of the table, watching these arrogant executives, now silent as mice. It felt good. This was the thrill of power. Even if I was just borrowing it, it was intoxicating. Good. Since there are no objections, it's settled. Sophia nodded, satisfied. She then turned to me, her expression instantly softening. "Honey, is there anything you'd like to say?" That one word, honey, spoken so sweetly, sent a fresh wave of shock through the room. Everyone stared at me like I was an alien. I cleared my throat and slowly stood up. I knew it was my time to shine. I scanned the room, my gaze lingering on each face for a half second. Then, I smiled slightly and said only 5 words. "I have nothing to say. Meeting adjourned." With that, I took Sophia's hand and, under the stunned gazes of everyone present, walked out of the conference room, leaving a room full of shell-shocked executives behind. I knew that from this day on, the entire business world of Crestview was going to be in an uproar over me, the useless freeloader. And all I could think was, bring it on. CEO shocks board, appoints freeloading husband as chief advisor. Stunning reversal. Ice Queen dotes on husband. True identity a mystery. Blackwood Corp upended by mystery man. The next day, as expected, Sophia and I were on the front page of every business journal in Crestview. The speculation was rampant. Some said I was the heir to a secret, powerful family, just living a simple life to test the waters. Others claimed I was a government-trained business prodigy, a secret weapon finally being deployed. One even suggested I was an alien sent to help Sophia achieve global economic domination. I lay by the pool at the mansion, reading these absurd articles on my phone and laughing so hard my abs hurt. The imagination of these journalists was truly something else. "Don't read that garbage. It's bad for your eyes." Sophia walked over, took my phone, and handed me a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. She was wearing a blue one-piece swimsuit with a white cover-up, her perfect figure tantalizingly visible. "Not going to the office today?" I asked, taking a sip of juice. "Nope." She sat down on the lounge chair next to me and casually started peeling grapes. "I'm staying home with you today. Can you afford to? With everything going on?" "I can." She popped a peeled grape into my mouth, her eyes meeting mine. I used to think work was the most important thing. Now I know that nothing is more important than you. Her words were so earnest. I actually felt a little embarrassed. I ate the grape. It was sweet. Oh, Sophia said, as if remembering something. Next week is my grandfather's 80th birthday. A lot of family and friends will be there. Will you? Will you come with me? There was a hint of nervousness in her voice. I raised an eyebrow. The patriarch's 80th birthday party? This was a major plot point in the book. In the original story, it was at this party that my character was mercilessly ridiculed by all the relatives, becoming the laughingstock of Crestview. It was also at this party that Sophia publicly announced she was divorcing me. And the hero, Rex Sterling, made his grand entrance, presenting an extravagant gift, winning the old man's favor, and beginning his glorious journey of crushing the Blackwood family and marrying one of Sophia's cousins. And now, the reborn Sophia wanted to take me with her. Her intentions were obvious. She wanted to use this opportunity to prove to everyone that I wasn't a loser. She wanted to repay every humiliation I had suffered in her past life, tenfold. Interesting. How could I miss such a dramatic event? Of course, I agreed readily. Sophia visibly relaxed, a happy smile spreading across her face. What kind of gift should we get for Grandpa? I can take care of it, she asked cautiously. No need. I'll prepare it myself, I said, shaking my head. No way. This was a key moment for showing off. I couldn't let someone else handle it. I had to do it myself to maximize the effect. Sophia was taken aback for a moment. Then the adoration in her eyes deepened. Okay, whatever you say. She had reached a point of blind faith in me. If I told her I could build a nuclear reactor in a backyard, she would probably believe me. The next few days were blissful. I had Sophia, a world-class beauty, by my side. Chloe, a gentle goddess, making me gourmet meals, and a whole team of staff waiting on me hand and foot. All I had to do was exist and enjoy it. Occasionally, Sophia would take me to the office. By now, no one in the company dared to look down on me. Everyone addressed me respectfully as Mr. Vance. Even Peterson, the butler who despised me, now bowed and scraped whenever he saw me. The feeling was incredible. Her uncle, Robert, after being put in his place a few times, had also quieted down, at least on the surface. But I knew he was still resentful, just waiting for me to fail, especially at the birthday party. I was looking forward to it too. Robert, the rest of the snide Blackwood relatives, and the soon-to-appear original hero. I couldn't wait to see the looks on their faces when I, the unpredictable transmigrator, completely derailed their carefully planned script. Just the thought of it was exciting. The day of the party arrived. I wore a custom-tailored suit that Sophia had prepared for me. Italian silk, cut to perfection, it accentuated the physique I had honed over 3 years of, well, lounging around. Okay, I admit, I did do push-ups and sit-ups in my old apartment. A man has to have some pride. When I came downstairs, Sophia, who was waiting in the living room, stared at me, mesmerized. She was wearing a stunning, strapless red gown that made her skin look like porcelain. Standing together, we looked like a power couple straight out of a magazine. How do I look? I asked, doing a little spin. Amazing, Sophia breathed, her eyes full of undisguised adoration. Ethan, you look so handsome tonight. You're beautiful too, I said, reaching up to tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear, my fingers brushing her cheek. She instantly blushed. Let's go. We don't want to keep Grandpa waiting, I said, taking her hand. Her hand was cool, but it slowly warmed in mine. We got in the car and headed for the Blackwood family estate. It was showtime. The Blackwood estate was a massive, traditional mansion nestled in the hills west of Crestview. Tonight, it was decked out with lights and decorations, the long driveway lined with luxury cars. It seemed like every important person in the city was here. When Sophia and I stepped out of the car, we immediately became the center of attention. Isn't that the Blackwood's useless son-in-law? What's he doing here? Look, Sophia is holding his hand and smiling. Am I seeing things? So, the rumors were true? She's really fallen for that pretty boy. The whispers followed us like a cloud of gnats. I ignored them, a calm smile on my face, as I led Sophia into the grand ballroom. Inside, the Blackwood clan had already gathered, led by Robert. He greeted us with a fake smile. Sophia, you're finally here. We've all been waiting. His eyes swept over me, filled with undisguised contempt. And this must be, Ethan? What a rare sight. It's been 3 years, and this is the first time I've seen you at a family gathering. He emphasized the last part, and the surrounding relatives snickered. Yeah, I almost forgot we even had a son-in-law, a heavy-set woman dripping in jewels, Sophia's aunt, added snidely. He's not the same man he used to be. He's the chief executive advisor now. We'd better be careful. Another man, Sophia's cousin, chimed in, his voice dripping with jealousy. In a last life, these were the people who had trampled my character's dignity into the dust. Looking at their ugly, sneering faces now, I felt nothing. Why waste energy on a bunch of minor characters about to be written out of the story? But Sophia was trembling with rage. Uncle, Aunt, that's enough, she snapped, stepping in front of me protectively. Ethan is my husband. He's my guest of honor. If anyone disrespects him again, I won't care about family ties. My, Sophia, what's gotten into you? Getting angry at your own family for an outsider. Robert feignait de surprise. We're just concerned about you. We don't want you to be taken advantage of. Some men will do anything for money, you know. His insinuation was clear, and the relatives chuckled again. I trust my husband. You don't need to worry about me, Uncle, Sophia retorted, not backing down. Fine, Robert said, the sneer on his face growing wider. Since you trust him so much, let's see what kind of magnificent gift he's prepared for your grandfather today. I hope it's not another cheap, knockoff watch like the one he gave you at your wedding. That was so embarrassing for the family. He was bringing up my past failures. At our wedding, my character had indeed given a fake watch as a gift, a joke that had been circulating in Crestview for years. Sophia's face went pale. She looked at me nervously, worried the old wound would hurt me. But I just smiled. I patted her hand to reassure her, then stepped forward to face Robert. You jest, Uncle. Times have changed. The gift I prepared for Grandpa is, of course, very special. Oh, really? Robert said, his disbelief obvious. Well then, why don't you show it to us now? We're all dying to see. He was trying to humiliate me, certain that I couldn't possibly have anything of value. Not yet, I said, shaking my head with a mysterious smile. My gift can only be presented after a truly distinguished guest has arrived. Distinguished guest? What distinguished guest? Robert was confused. Everyone was. Just then, there was a commotion at the entrance. A panicked butler ran in, his face a mixture of shock and excitement. Sir, outside. What is it? Pull yourself together. The family patriarch, a spry old man in a traditional suit, scolded him. It's Senator Hayes from Washington, D.C. He's here personally to wish you a happy birthday. Boom. The entire ballroom erupted. Senator Hayes, from D.C., a man from one of the most powerful political families in the country. The Blackwoods might be big in Crestview, but compared to the Hayes family, they were ants. The senator himself had come to the party. What incredible honor. Old Mr. Blackwood was flushed with excitement, his hand on his cane trembling. Quickly, everyone with me to greet him. The whole crowd surged towards the entrance. I took Sophia's hand and followed at a leisurely pace. Sophia looked at me, bewildered. Ethan, why would someone like Senator Hayes come here? I gave her a mysterious smile. I told you, I invited a distinguished guest. Sophia's eyes went wide. She stared at me in disbelief, her breathing growing ragged. You mean, you? I didn't answer, just gave her a look that said, you guessed it. Sophia gasped. The look she gave me was beyond admiration. It was as if she were looking at a god. At the entrance, an old man with an incredibly powerful aura, flanked by Secret Service agents, strode in. This was Senator Hayes, a man at the pinnacle of American power. Senator, what an honor. I am truly humbled by your presence. Mr. Blackwood rushed forward, practically bowing. Happy birthday, old friend, the senator boomed, clapping him on the shoulder. You didn't think I'd miss a party like this, did you? After a brief exchange, the senator's eyes began scanning the crowd, as if looking for someone. Robert, ever the opportunist, immediately sidled up. Senator, a pleasure. I'm Robert Blackwood, VP of the corporation. I've admired your career for years. The senator gave him a brief, dismissive glance and looked right past him. Robert's smile froze on his face. Finally, the senator's gaze landed on me, at the back of the crowd. Then, to everyone's astonishment, he moved through the crowd, making a beeline straight for me. He stopped in front of me, and then he did something that made the entire room freeze. He bowed, a deep, respectful bow. "Mr. Vance, it's good to see you again." Time seemed to stop. You could have heard a pin drop. Everyone's eyes were practically bulging out of their sockets. What were they seeing? Senator Hayes, one of the most powerful men in the country, was bowing to the Blackwood family's infamous freeloader, and he called him Mr. Vance? Had the world gone mad? Mr. Blackwood was speechless. Robert was dumbstruck. All the relatives were gaping like fish. Sophia covered her mouth, her eyes wide with shock. She knew I was special, but she had never imagined my influence could be this immense. To have Senator Hayes himself come and show such deference. This wasn't just a hidden powerhouse. This was a dragon among men. And I, the center of it all, simply helped the senator straighten up. "Senator, you're too kind. Tonight is my wife's grandfather's birthday. There's no need for such formalities between us." My tone was casual, as if I were talking to an old friend. But to everyone else, it was a thunderclap. He dared to be so casual with Senator Hayes? Who did he think he was? But the senator didn't seem offended at all. In fact, he smiled even more warmly. Of course. You're right, my boy." He turned to the petrified Mr. Blackwood and laughed. "I must introduce you properly. This young man, Ethan Vance, is the man who saved my life. He is also a dear friend whom I respect immensely. The fact that he is your grandson-in-law is the greatest fortune your family will ever have." Boom. Another bombshell. Saved his life? A dear friend? The family's greatest fortune? Coming from Senator Hayes, those words carried an incredible weight. Mr. Blackwood finally processed it all. He was trembling with a mixture of shock, elation, and a trace of fear. Fear that his family had almost thrown away a living god. Robert was ashen-faced. He looked at me with pure terror. He knew he was finished. How could he possibly survive after so brazenly insulting the man who saved Senator Hayes' life? I ignored the shell-shocked relatives and led Sophia to her grandfather. "Grandpa, this is my gift for you." I took a small, ornate wooden box from my pocket. Inside, resting on a bed of silk, was a single dark pearl-like pill that gave off a faint herbal scent. "What is this?" Mr. Blackwood asked, confused. "This is a longevity compound," I said simply. "Something I created in my spare time from a few simple herbs. I can't promise immortality, but it will guarantee you another 10 years of life, free from all illness." My voice was quiet, but every word echoed in the silent hall. 10 more years? Free from illness? The claim was so audacious, it was almost laughable. Just as people were about to dismiss me as a charlatan, Senator Hayes rushed forward, his eyes wide with excitement. He stared at the pill, his breathing heavy. Is this the legendary compound? Mr. Vance, you actually succeeded." He had heard tales from his own secretive mentor about miracle workers who could create remedies that defied nature. This longevity compound was the stuff of legends, and he was seeing it with his own eyes. The senator's reaction was like a hammer blow to everyone's skepticism. If he was this excited, could this little black pill really be a miracle drug? "Mr. Vance, this gift is too much." Mr. Blackwood finally found his voice, trembling. "Not at all, Grandpa," I smiled. "You're Sophia's grandfather, which makes you my grandfather. A simple pill is the least I can do." I placed the pill in the old man's hand. He took it, his hands shaking, tears welling in his eyes. "A good grandson, a fine grandson, with you in the family. The Blackwoods will prosper for 100 years. He clasped my hand, too emotional to speak. Just then, there was another commotion at the entrance. A handsome young man in a flashy Versace suit, with a faintly arrogant air about him, strode in, followed by an entourage. He was carrying a large, ornate box. "Rex Sterling wishes Mr. Blackwood a long and prosperous life. I present you with a 200-year-old bottle of scotch to mark this momentous occasion." His voice was loud and confident. So this was him, the hero of the book, Rex Sterling. He had arrived, with his rare scotch and his script for upstaging everyone. Too bad for him. He was late. Tonight, the star of the show wasn't him. It was me. Rex clearly sensed that something was off. Why was no one fawning over his incredible gift? Why was everyone staring at that freeloader? Why was Sophia looking at that loser with such love and admiration? This wasn't in the script. His eyes fell on the small black pill in Mr. Blackwood's hand. What's that? A ball of dirt? You're not going to accept that as a gift, are you? Mr. Blackwood, don't let this con artist fool you. Rex scoffed. His performance had begun. Step 1. Expose the fraud. But instead of agreement, he was met with dead silence. Everyone was looking at him like he was an idiot. Mr. Blackwood gave him a withering glance, then, in front of everyone, popped the ball of dirt into his mouth and swallowed it. In the next moment, a miracle happened. The old man's graying hair began to visibly darken. The wrinkles on his face seemed to smooth out. He looked 10 years younger. Ha ha ha. Incredible. Mr. Blackwood roared, his voice full of a newfound vigor. I feel like I could wrestle a bear. The hall erupted. A miracle. It was a real miracle. Everyone was now staring at me with a feverish, greedy light in their eyes. I wasn't a person anymore. I was a ticket to a longer life. Rex Sterling was completely dumbfounded. He stood there, holding his ridiculously expensive bottle of scotch, looking from me to the rejuvenated Mr. Blackwood. The expression on his face was priceless. He knew, in that moment, that he had just become the biggest joke of the night. I walked over to him, clapped him on the shoulder, and whispered with a smile, "The game has changed, kid." After the party, my name, Ethan Vance, was on everyone's lips in Crestview. No longer the useless freeloader, but Mr. Vance, a mysterious, powerful figure who could command the respect of A.D.C. Senator and produce miracle drugs. The Blackwood family's status skyrocketed overnight, and I finally began my true slacker life. Sophia's devotion to me was absolute. If I said the sun was square, she'd have her company's R&D department prove it. She handed over control of the entire Blackwood fortune to me. Not that I cared about the money. My days consisted of eating, sleeping, and spending time with Sophia. Oh, and occasionally, I'd visit the hearth to chat and play chess with Chloe and sample her latest culinary creations. Sophia was, of course, incredibly jealous, but she never dared to say anything, just stewed in silence. Every time I came back from Chloe's, she'd sniff me like a suspicious cat looking for evidence of infidelity. Then, at night, she would try, in her own clumsy way, to prove her dominance as the lady of the house. She would put on that pink silk nightgown I liked, mix a cocktail that tasted like poison, and stammer, "H, honey, have, drink." Her attempts to be seductive were so earnest and awkward. I found them both hilarious and irresistible. I knew she was trying so hard to be a good wife. She secretly enrolled in cooking classes, tea ceremony classes, even massage courses. Anything she thought would make me happy. Watching this once untouchable ice queen slowly shed her armor for me, becoming soft and warm, I wasn't entirely unmoved. I had to admit, my feelings for her were no longer just about manipulation and amusement. I had grown used to her presence, to her terrible but lovingly made breakfasts, to the warmth of her body pressed against mine at night. I was even starting to like this feeling of being completely and utterly loved. One day, I was playing chess with Chloe in the garden behind the hearth. She was a brilliant player, but always let me win. "Mr. Vance, you seem to have something on your mind," she said softly. "Oh, what makes you say that?" "Your game is in chaos," she said, looking up, her clear eyes seeming to see right through me. "There's a hesitation in your moves today." I was taken aback, then gave a wry smile. "I can't hide anything from you, can I?" "Is it because of Sophia?" she asked gently. I didn't answer, which was an answer in itself. "Mr. Vance," Chloe said after a moment, "I don't know what your past with her was like, but I can see that she loves you. She loves you very, very much." "I know. And you?" she asked, her eyes holding mine. "Do you love her?" I was silent. Love? I didn't know. I knew I had started this as a game for money. But now the game was over, and I had more money than I could ever spend. I could leave any time I wanted, live the carefree life I'd always dreamed of. But I hadn't left, and the thought of her being hurt by my departure, it bothered me. "I don't know," I finally said. Chloe just smiled. "Follow your heart, Mr. Vance. It won't lead you astray. Follow my heart." What was my heart even trying to tell me? When I got back to the mansion, Sophia wasn't home yet. I sat alone in the vast, empty living room, and for the first time, the house felt cold. She didn't get home until 10, looking utterly exhausted. What's wrong? Trouble at the office? I asked, taking her bag. It's nothing, just a small problem, she said with a forced smile, but I could see the weariness in her eyes. She was lying. After the party, Rex Sterling had disappeared. I thought he'd given up, but it seemed he'd just gone underground, plotting something bigger. And Sophia had been dealing with it all on her own, without telling me. She didn't want to bother me. You foolish woman. Sophia, I said, her name sounding serious. Yes. From now on, you tell me everything that happens at the office. I cupped her face in my hands, making her look at me. We're husband and wife. Your problems are my problems. I don't want you to carry them alone. Sophia stared at me, her eyes slowly filling with tears. Ethan, she choked out, collapsing into my arms. I thought you'd be annoyed. You're an idiot, I said, holding her close and stroking her back. I'm your husband. If I don't have your back, who will? She broke down then, sobbing into my shoulder, releasing all the stress and fear she'd been holding in. I just held her, letting her cry, and in that moment, the question that had been nagging at me was finally answered. I really do love this foolish woman. With my intervention, Rex Sterling's pathetic schemes were quickly dismantled. I didn't even have to lift a finger myself. I just made one phone call to Senator Hayes, asking him to look into the Sterling family's business dealings in D.C. 3 days later, their company was on the verge of bankruptcy. Rex's father broke his legs and shipped him out of the state. The so-called hero of the book didn't even last one round against me. When Sophia found out, she was stunned. The problem that had been tormenting her for months, I had solved with a single phone call. The look in her eyes changed from admiration to something closer to awe. She was more convinced than ever that I was some kind of deity. I didn't correct her. Some misunderstandings are best left as they are. After that, our lives settled into a sweet, peaceful routine. Sophia handed over the reins of the company to a professional management team and became a full-time housewife. Her greatest joy was experimenting with new recipes for me. The food was still an acquired taste, but seeing her in the kitchen, happy and focused, felt like home. Our relationship deepened. We went from sleeping in the same bed to, well, one night, when she presented me with another one of her poisonous cocktails in that pink nightgown, I finally gave in to my baser instincts. The night was a blur of passion and discovery. All I remember is her, beautiful and vulnerable, crying out my name. After that, everything changed. We were insatiable. By day, she was my sweet, doting wife. By night, she was a siren who drove me wild. I was so happy, I almost forgot that my original plan was to take the money and run. Today was our 4th wedding anniversary. Sophia told me she had a surprise. That evening, she took me to the restaurant where we first met. 4 years ago, our families had arranged for us to meet here, and the next day, we were married. I remember she wore a black power suit and didn't say a single word to me. Tonight, she was in a flowing white dress, looking like an angel. Do you remember this place? She asked softly. Of course, I smiled. You look like you wanted to kill me. I am sorry. She said, her eyes sad. I was so stupid and blind back then. It's in the past, I said, squeezing her hand. This is what matters. Yes, she nodded, then pulled a manila envelope out of her purse and handed it to me. What's this? Open it. I opened it. Inside was a divorce agreement. I froze. Sophia, what is this? My voice turned cold. Don't be angry. Just read it, she said quickly. I read it, and I froze again. It stated that she, Sophia Blackwood, was voluntarily transferring all of her personal assets, including her 50% stake in the Blackwood Corporation, all real estate, savings, and investments, to me, Ethan Vance. The transfer was effective immediately. Furthermore, I had the right to file for divorce at any time, and she would agree without contest. My hand was shaking. Are you insane? I looked up at her. No. She met my gaze, her eyes clear and steady. Ethan, I know being with me has held you back. You were meant to soar, and I've kept you in this small pond. I know I can't keep you forever, and I don't want to trap you with this marriage anymore. So, I want to give you everything. It's what I owe you. It's the only thing I can do. If you want to stay, I'll be here. If you want to leave, I'll let you go. Just as long as you promise to come back and visit me sometimes. Tears were streaming down her face, but she was smiling, a smile that broke my heart. I looked at her, at this absurd divorce agreement, and felt something shatter inside me. This woman, who I had planned to use and discard, was offering me her entire world, unconditionally. What had I, a cynical slacker, ever done to deserve a love so pure, so absolute? I tore the agreement to shreds in front of her. As she stared in shock, I got down on one knee and pulled a small box from my pocket. Inside was a ring I had forged myself from a piece of meteorite. It was one of a kind. "Sophia," I said, looking up at my queen, "my love. I was wrong before. I want to ask you again. Will you marry me, a good-for-nothing freeloader, and be my wife for better or for worse for the rest of our lives?" Sophia covered her mouth, sobbing uncontrollably. She nodded frantically, unable to speak. "Yes, yes." I smiled and slipped the ring on her finger. Outside, fireworks lit up the night sky. Inside, our new life was just beginning. I knew in that moment that I, the transmigrator, had finally found my home in this world. As for my original plan to just coast, to hell with it. With a wife who loved me this much, why would I ever want to be a slacker? It was time to get to work and make her the happiest woman in the world. End.